Welcome to another episode of Founder Unfiltered, the conversations that founders think but never talk about. I'm incredibly excited to welcome Manuj Aggarwal. Manuj is the founder and chief innovation officer at TetraNoodle Technologies, an elite AI engineering company. He's got a remarkable track record of driving transformative change through TetraNoodle by touching over 10 million lives and generating over $500 million in value. He's an absolute expert in AI, but not just AI. We're going to talk about really the impact on the founder journey, on companies, and much more. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
All right, excited to have you. So, give us a further understanding. Like I had an intro for you, but give us a further understanding of who you are, what you do, and then we'll dive in.
My story begins in India, a small town. I got into a community college earlier on, but fell into drugs, wrong company, and dropped out of college in 3 months. And that's where my sort of life started, just a roller coaster. And I couldn't figure out what I was meant to do until I found computers and software. And once I found it, like I just loved it. I got into AI around 2005. The very first project that we built was personalized learning for students. So it basically was a platform which understood every student's mind intimately and their level of understanding of the topic, and then personalized the curriculum for them. And that was my first kind of like peek into the human mind and how our minds are so complex and diverse, but also the power of AI and how it can understand each human individually and adapt the systems. So since then, I have done quite a bit of work on understanding our mind, neuroscience, psychology, obviously doing a lot of work in AI. And my work now is basically combining these two areas and creating a continuum because as we go into this conversation, I hope you will start to appreciate how our minds are getting impacted by AI and vice versa. It's a two-way street that's happening right now.
Wow. So we're long before the ChatGPTs of the world. I imagine that's given you a huge leg up in understanding the technology at its core. And then you have these new LLMs coming in and changing the game. I mean, what's your take on that?
Every corner you look at, there is an AI expert, but the foundations that you developed over 20 years, you cannot take that away. But I wish I could say like I had even more experience, because believe it or not, AI has been around since the 1960s. So there are people much wiser than me, much more experienced in this technology. But yes, it does give you a real good advantage if you understand the real basics, the internals of algorithms, and how this is all put together.
Let's just start at a really base level because I don't want to just have the probably conversation everybody's having of like how to use AI to make your business more efficient. Like, yes, we'll hit on it, I'm sure, but I really want to talk about the impact of AI on the founder. Whether if we really think about a founder that's been in business for a number of years, has some customers, has some clients, now AI is coming into the show. What is the impact on them? And I really want to start with the mental, emotional piece that you're seeing in your work, maybe from your own personal experience as well?
First of all, I'll give you a little bit of a background here, right? When we work with AI, we first look at the human being, just like what you are saying. Focus on the founder, focus on the leader, because AI is a tool that they use to improve their business and life. And most people don't do that. So we have a framework called AI Merge, and the idea is that human mind needs to kind of have this layer of a membrane between AI, this intelligent entity that has landed in our lap, to be able to interact with it. Last year, I was invited to present this framework at Mensa Foundation, which is a very prominent body researching human intelligence. They are the people behind IQ research and all that. What I found out was average human IQ in this world is 90, which is just about like young adult. So think about it this way. Every AI platform out there, Gemini, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, they have to cater to the least common denominator. Meaning, as intelligent as these systems are, they are going to treat you as a young adult and give you the output that will resonate with you, meaning they will stroke your ego, they will never argue with you, they will give you a million different options. And as a founder, you'll be like, wow, it used to take me so much time to figure out all these options. Now I can get it in seconds. But imagine what is happening in our mind. It's getting overloaded with all these options. Founders tend to have this mind which is in overdrive anyways, because that's who entrepreneurs are. They notice the patterns in the world, and they find gaps, and then they build solutions. But if you ever have done a house repainting job, if you go to a Home Depot to find the right color, if they have a million colors, our mind gets so confused, like, I don't know which shade of pink should I use, which shade of green should I use. That's exactly what is happening right now in people's minds as they consume what I called crude AI, crude oil. Just like crude oil, you cannot put it in your car because it's going to jam your engine. People are putting crude AI in their minds, which is putting the whole mind and the nervous system in overdrive right now. So what we do is we basically filter it out, just like electricity. When the power plant produces electricity, it produces it at a very high voltage, 11,000, 12,000 volts. You cannot plug your fridge or toaster oven into that electricity. You need a regulator to regulate it down so that it's safe for your appliances to be plugged in. Similar analogy with crude oil, it needs to be refined before you start to put it in your car. As these giants are flooding the market with for $20 a month is crude AI, which is kind of like putting the mind in overdrive. And that's why you see a lot of anxiety, a lot of a lot of stress just building up. And so the idea is that you need to have some protection layer to kind of like consume it in a safe manner.
It can be really easy these days to outsource decision making, right? I'll just ask it a question and I don't need to think anymore. Save me the time, energy. What's happening when I do that as a founder?
We have adopted this notion that we are logical creatures, but we are very emotional. Everything that we experience in life, 90% of what we experience in life is actually our subconscious mind, and it is related to our past experiences, our core values, our belief systems. So let's say, I'll give you a simple example. Let's say I'm a vegetarian and I'm a vegan. That's my core belief. I don't want to have any meat whatsoever. And then you invite me to a really high end Michelin star restaurant which only serves meat. That is not going to work, even though your intentions are really good. It's against my values. So when you are talking to AI and outsourcing your decision making, it does not know anything about you and your core values. It will just say, okay, do this. Let's say you're working on a deal. You didn't have a good meeting with a client, and you just say to ChatGPT or any AI, hey, this guy was not really nice to me. What should I do? A standard LLM response will be, okay, just cut off the deal, move on, blah blah blah, right? But if you give it more context, that actually I woke up on the wrong side of my bed, I had a fight with my spouse in the morning, I was the one like kind of like dysregulated, and this is the context of this conversation, this is what happened. Now this LLM, and obviously if it has even more context about your background, about if you have any anger management issues, if you had like any anxiety issues, all of these things are the internal structure of your mind, which most AIs have no clue about. And people are afraid to share all this because we are not self-aware enough to notice all this about us, right? So when you outsource this decision, you're basically inviting a vegan into a steakhouse, and you may think, oh, it's a nice meal, like, it looks pretty expensive and decent, but how far is it going to take you, nourish you, and really help you accomplish your goals? That's very questionable.
Based on all of that, what is your recommendation for how to use the AI at the end of the day? I want my company to be successful. I want a great user experience. I want to differentiate all those things. What's your recommendation?
So what we have done is we have come up with a 7-step foundational framework to use any AI easily. First, find your purpose. So before that, as I say, I reiterate this paradigm. People who are going to be successful, they don't need to know the algorithm. They don't need to know the prompts. I mean, most people are running after that aspect of AI. What are the best tools? What is the best prompt? The people who are going to be successful with AI will know themselves the best. So, how do you know yourself best? These 7 things, if you start to adopt them and focus on them, it will really help you accelerate. The first one is your purpose. What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Unless and until you know this, AI will take you all different ways. But if you find your purpose and you say, okay, this is my goal, it cannot be, oh, I want to make $1 million. It cannot be, I want to be filthy rich. That's not purpose. Purpose is something that is deeper than that, right? So there is some pain point you experience in your life, and you cannot tolerate this pain point for others, and that's why you want to solve it for others. So there's a deeper sense to that, and we have a deeper exercise to actually find this purpose. But once you find it, you need to let AI know that anything that you tell me, please help me align my decisions to my core values, to my purpose. The second thing is your identity. So the world does not give you what you want or need. The world reflects you, who you are inside. So if you are a struggling founder trying to make cash flow and monthly payments, you need to look at the identity of that future founder that has accomplished your goal, and how do you become that person. That is the key. So understand your self identity in this whole paradigm, and how you come across to AI, because it's going to start reflecting you. Yeah. The third thing is relationships, and business and life. Nothing happens in isolation. We all need each other, because we can only be good at one or two things. So how do you use AI, become a person that actually creates better relationships, creates a community around them, is better at networking and those type of things. Fourth pillar is creativity, because we all build these massive 5-year plans, and the next day we never do anything, right? So creativity, you can use leverage AI to say, okay, this is where I want to be in 5 years, but right now just give me one step I can take in the next 1 hour, and keep moving forward with that, right? Then your time. So this is where AI agents and automation comes in, where you can start to offload repetitive work and then take your time back. The more time you have, the more calm you are, you will be able to be more productive, obviously. Peace of mind is another one, because as I explained earlier, there's going to be an explosion of information, options, all of this around the world, and that's going to kind of like create more anxiety and stress in the human mind. So you need to protect against that, and retain your peace of mind. Otherwise you're going to be spinning in this circle. And the foundational pillar is embodiment, because embodiment is engaging with the field, engaging with outside world. Because as AI becomes more and more powerful, most people will think, oh, I can just sit here in my cubicle and work with AI all day long and things will happen. But the real results happen out there in real life. So you need to kind of like say, okay, I'm going to talk to AI for 30 minutes a day, no more than that. But based on what I get out of it, I'm going to go out there and take action. I'm going to talk to real people, and I'm going to touch real objects and go in nature, these type of things. So if you start to adopt these 7 pillars, it'll start to restore your humanity. And that is what is going to make you more valuable in the age of AI. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you just took us on like a personal development journey. I loved it. So many amazing quotes in there. The question I really want to ask, and you said, because I find it, I'll just share myself, it can be addicting to stay home, right? And just work with my AI and build new features, and right, like it's kind of addicting, frankly. And as you said, what's going to differentiate is going out there and actually into the world. And maybe that's in nature to just like recover and connect with myself, but maybe it's, talking to real people and building new relationships. So maybe I would love your just take on that, because so many people I talk to, we're like staying up late, we're canceling social plans, we're like just working all the time now because AI opened up doors that didn't exist. How do we navigate that and get ourselves away from staying at home and just working?
So we are going through a huge transition. This is an evolutionary scale transition at a human species level. Okay, so think about it this way: when we were in the caves, Our job used to be 24/7, just hunt for food, find a rabbit, kill it, bring it back. But then somebody discovered, agriculture, and they said, you know what? Let's just plant some seeds in the ground and just lay low for 6 months, and we'll have so much food. And the people running around, they'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, are you crazy? This is not going to happen. Like, you're going to starve. They were still running around and killing animals. But until slowly people realize that if you actually follow this path of nature, you sow some seeds, you'll have abundant food. So that's what's happening today, where people are spinning their wheels, living the old paradigm, by the way. So we are not no longer in the old paradigm of a zero sum game, creating solutions. It will take a lot of time, maybe decades, for people to shift their mindset. And until that happens, people who start to see the light earlier on, they will start to play the game of Go rather than the game of chess, which is to actually do engage with the field, so that you can bring the material that is needed by AI to help you make the right decisions. Because if you sit here and talk to AI all day long, it's looking at the past data. The cutoff date for each of the platforms is like months and months away in the back.
Yep.
So you are looking at past data, and you're trying to make decisions about a brand new world that is shaping under our noses. Huge disconnect right there, right? So you need to go out there, you need to talk to people, and only then you will have something meaningful to say to AI. Otherwise, you're just going in circles, satisfied with the fact that you are being busy. That's not going to bring any results.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit on this earlier too, and I've heard it rephrased in a similar way of AI is almost like the middle 50% of everything that's been done in the past.
Yeah.
So if you're outsourcing, right, you said it, you talked about like IQ levels to, a teenager, right? And it's basically the same thing. You're saying if you outsource your decision making to AI, right, you're one in the past, and two, talking towards the middle 50%, this teenage IQ level, nobody wants to be, you're not creating anything magical or amazing from that place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, you said something earlier that before we started recording that you guys are working on creating, correct, you're going to correct my language here, but digital copies of the founder so that the teams don't have to rely on the human founder as much. Tell us what's going on there.
So it's basically, I already described the 7 steps here. So this protocol is called AI merge. These entities are getting more intelligent. So think about, for the sake of argument, an alien landed on the planet, and now we need to talk to it. The aliens have this advanced technology. They have a different language. We don't know how to talk to them. So consider AI as that intelligent entity, and the human mind needs a way to interact with this entity safely. Just like we need to wear a helmet when we drive a fast car, we need to wear a seatbelt. This AI merge protocol is that safety layer, where it actually prioritizes these 7 pillars that I mentioned earlier. So before you interact with AI, it goes through this layer of AI merge, and it says, hey, this user, this is their purpose, this is their current identity, this is what their future identity they want to create. These are the type of relationships they have created or they want to create. This is how they think creatively. This is what their time calendar looks like. This is what their state of mind is. And this is how they embody this life experience, whether they sit in their chair all day long or they go out there, for a walk or whatever. So all this is baked into this protocol, so that when you talk to AI, it actually starts to make the right decisions for you. So a founder or a CEO, essentially what they are doing is making a million decisions every day based on the data that they're collecting, right? So if you now have a super intelligent entity that thinks like you, but not just think like you, as I said earlier, the results you experience in life, 90% of it comes from your subconscious mind, meaning how you feel the environment around you. If you consider this fact, now this is a super intelligent entity that can feel the environment like you. Now you can hand over this digital twin to your team and say, hey, if I'm on the beach, don't disturb me. If you need an answer, talk to this guy. And if this person or this entity cannot answer it, then message me. And by the way, In my own company, I fired myself as the CEO a few months ago because I was in the same loop of, okay, we need to make this happen in this month. Like, these are the team members, this is their strength, weakness. How do I deal with this, right? But a human mind is not capable of like having all this. We can push through it, but won't it be better if we give this thinking process to a machine because it's optimized for that, and then you can just say, hey, by the end of this month, this is the goal we want to hit. You tell us who should do what in what sequence so that we can hit that goal.
I have so many questions. Sounds amazing. And how well is it working? Right? Like if I go to the beach, like, yeah, how's it going?
It's absolutely great. Look, we are at the beginning of, as I said, we are at the beginning of this transition. So I won't say here that, oh, I can take like 3 weeks off and not look at my company at all. No. But I can tell you, a cognitive load, my stress, my anxiety before I have a stand up call every day with my team, gone. I don't even need to like think about what is going to happen because I know there is a much more intelligent entity which remembers everything, which stores all the data, which knows each and every person on my team, what is their strength, what is their weakness, what is their background, and then optimizes all of it and says, okay, this is your plan for the next day or the next week or whatever. My team is spread across the world. I don't have to spend nights waking up and thinking, oh, they are stuck. They actually use this to actually move forward and then come back to me with fewer questions. So it's actually doing a much, much better job than I was doing as a CEO. That I can tell you.
Wow. As you talk, I mean, it sounds amazing, right? And assuming it works, I can see it being a massive impact on businesses. And so many people I talk to, there's a new tool, a new thing, a new way of doing business. I mean, how do you figure out what to use? How do you keep up with it at all? And not necessarily you, but if you're because you're like living and breathing this stuff, right? But for the average business owner founder out there that's being maybe pitched or reading about all these different tools, I mean, what do you do to not make this just end up being a massive distraction from your goal of like delivering incredible value with your product or service?
Yeah. So great question. One thing I've learned in technology is there are, and any field, only 5% of the people know what they are doing, and the rest 95% they follow, right? And I'm not bragging here or I'm not egotistical, but I am in circles with the highest levels of people at OpenAI, at Google, at Microsoft. They are very, very busy in coming up with the AGI and the best and the fastest algorithms and the AI models. That is their goal. Nobody's looking at the human. Nobody. And so that's where we start. And literally, we use maybe handful of tools, like 5 tools at the max, and the rest is our own framework, which is optimizing the human experience. Because in technology, what happens is if something is good, it will show up at your doorstep sooner or later. And so rather than going out there and looking for, oh, let me try this tool, let me try that tool, we say, okay, let's wait for a problem to show up and then we will go look for tools. And generally, 90% of the problems in business are human problems. Okay. So it's like saying that, oh, this is one of the most frequent questions I get asked: what is your favorite tool? So I respond to it like this: it's like asking me what is my favorite appliance in my kitchen. Is it the fridge? Is it the toaster? Is it the oven? So I say it depends on what you want to cook. And then you say, okay, this appliance will be the right appliance for what I'm trying to cook right now. So first focus on yourself, on your business, on your outcome, and then you work backwards from there. And if you do it that way, you will realize actually you don't need more than 4 or 5 tools.
So if I can make a digital copy of myself and I can somewhat give this, you keep calling it an entity, so I'll use the language. I give this entity to my team. I would imagine I can make a digital copy of somebody else and use it for my company. So I could take the best entrepreneurs in the world, maybe like the Elon Musk, or even they don't even need to be alive, right? I could take the Steve Jobs of the world or whoever. I could take Einstein, maybe. I don't know. You tell me what I can do. Like, I don't, why would I take my brains? That, like, yeah, I'm a smart person, but I'm not going to tend to be.
Excellent question. Excellent question. See, this is where you really need to understand what a human being is. A human being is basically a nervous system covered with, our skin and all of that, the body. Elon Musk's nervous system is not compatible with yours. If you are put in charge of Tesla, you will, no offense, you will
None
probably
taken.
collapse. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't get me wrong. What we do is we actually create executive boards where we do include people like Elon Musk and those type of things. But if Elon Musk gives me advice, it's not going to work for me. He's gonna say, "Oh, you want to do this? Okay, raise $800 billion and hire 10,000 people." Not gonna work. The second thing, the most important thing, as I keep repeating, is everything that you see on the internet, it's coming from their logical mind. Okay, the decisions they have made, but we do not get even an ounce of what their nervous system is all about, their subconscious mind is all about, their background is all about. What was the real deep pain they experienced in their life, which prompted them to go to this level, that they sacrificed everything in life and said, okay, this is my one purpose, one mission, one goal. Unless and until you are the only person who knows that. And even you will need help to dig deeper, deeper, deeper. So first order of business is not to go look for advice from Elon Musk. The first order of business is get familiar with yourself and what really drives you, what lights up your soul on fire, and then you can surround yourself with all these other advisors and all of that, but that too filtered by your own lens. And you can say, Elon Musk is going to tell me to raise $800 billion, but I want to bootstrap. So kind of like downstep that advice for me so that I can use it.
Right. So I'm going to go off the reservation here. You have said it a number of times, like find your purpose, what lights up your soul. Age old question. How do you do that?
For thousands and thousands of years, these paradigms have been there. So I study a lot of obviously different fields, not just AI. So ancient wisdom, neuroscience, psychology. There's a Japanese concept called Ikigai. Okay, and once you start to understand it, you just need to answer a few questions to find your purpose. And here is the thing that people don't understand. Sometimes they do this exercise and say, oh, I found my purpose now, I know what. But our purpose, we are living in such a dynamic environment, our purpose shifts every 30 days, 90 days. Like, as you start to go into the world, as you start to make more and more discovery about yourself, your purpose starts to change. And as you start to engage with this AI and keep updating the purpose, keep using AI to align your decisions with your purpose, it rapidly starts to like kind of pull you forward in your life. Absolutely. 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 Money is a means to an end. What we really seek is safety and recognition, and somebody who listens to us, sees us. And what we learn in our life is, if we have more money, that will happen automatically. So we run after money. But at the end of the day, the end goal is seeking that safety, that novelty, that experience of life, embodiment of life. Okay. So think about it this way: AI is an algorithm which needs fuel. Fuel for AI is data. Okay. So all these companies right now pumping billions of into the GPUs, data centers, they are running out of data. Okay, it's almost like humans are running out of oil. Okay, so there is actually a saying, data is more expensive now than data, the new gold or new oil is data. So imagine in the new world, our focus is finding safety, which I can narrow it down to nervous system attunement. We just want our nervous system to feel safe. We feel safe when we are out there in the world, traveling and all that. There is going to be a company very soon, an airline or a travel company, which will pay you to travel so that they can collect data, which goes back into AI and makes it smarter. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes. So the whole paradigm of how money works, what commerce is, what education is all about, once you start to understand the history of humanity, how we came here, and what is about to happen, then you can see clearly what this new world is going to be, and it's going to be mind blowing. It's not going to resemble anything that we know about history. It's a totally different world. This change I'm talking about, next one decade. I call it inhale and exhale, meaning so far the whole economy has been about inhaling information, consuming information. Education is based on, like cram this information, remember it, and regurgitate it when the test comes. Or employment is how much your nervous system can take in terms of tension and stress, and do the work. This new economy is going to be about exhaling. How can you express yourself? How can you bring out your authentic story and attract people with that authentic story to join in your mission, if that's making sense? So if you think about it, like we are in a transition phase here. People make fun of influencers, right? Influencer is a job. But if you think about it, what they are doing is they are putting up a show, they are putting up a performance to let their audience live vicariously through them. While 97% of the people are locked up in their cubicle, they dream about, oh, I'm going to go travel the world, I'm going to do this. And then they look at their TikTok and they, oh, this guy's doing it. Okay, my mind is now sort of capturing that data now, right? So you need to flip that, and you need to go out there and engage with the world in such a way that your nervous system gets attuned. That's why self awareness and knowing what really works for you, finding your purpose, is key, because that is what is your nervous system seeking. And that is the gold rush that is going to happen. But unfortunately, it's a mind bending thing that most people are not going to be able to wrap their head around. Mhm. Yeah, go to my website, Manuj Aggarwal. Google me. I'm easy to find, or find me on LinkedIn. I know my spellings are a little bit difficult, but my company website is TetraNoodle.com. Just reach out and let me know what you guys are working on. How can I help? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're welcome.